Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Minority Business Assistance Center's Wednesday webinar. We are excited today to have our new director, Andrea Wilkes, who will be presenting today on pitching your business. And this is a special day because it is also her birthday. So this is exciting for us to have her on our team. And actually, we're on her team. And it's a privilege for us to have her as our leader. And so we are looking forward to what she will be sharing with you today. We also have on the call Rosita Torres, who is a certification specialist and outreach coordinator. So she'll be manning the chat today. And if you have any questions for Director Wilkes as she's making the presentation, you can put them right in the chat and we'll make sure that they get responded to. So it is my pleasure again to present to you, Andrea, and take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Sharon, for giving me that warm introduction and wishing me a happy birthday today. But it was more important for me to come on and talk about pitching your business because that is so important to us. We have wonderful ideas that became a business. And so now we need to be able to monetize our business. And one of the wonderful ways of doing that is to start with pitching your business and giving yourself framework in doing that. So we really want to stress the importance and ways of starting networking, along with helping opportunities to help you with the networking. As our presentation is coming up, we're actually going to cover today ways to network and ways to successfully network, benefits of certification, tips for networking, ways to build your network, crafting your elevator pitch, along with you will be walking away with today your own elevator pitch. So again, thank you for the wonderful introduction and thank you for joining our session today where we will be talking about pitching your business. As a reminder, we will walk away with network success. We will acknowledge the benefits of certifications. We will have tips for networking. We will provide ways to build your network. We will help you craft your elevation pitch. And then again, you will walk away with your elevation pitch for today. So as we dig deeper, we would like to first start with ways to have network success. And the very first thing that we want to identify is your goal. What is your goal and objective for what you are trying to present? If you don't have a clear, concise goal, then it will be hard to deliver what you are trying to convey. Once you have defined your clear goal, then you would want to look to find your target audience. Who are you looking to talk to? Who is in the room where you're looking to attend? How will you be able to help them? And we'll talk about that a little bit further going into the session. But then as well, how will you add value to what they need? And then how can they add value to you so that it is reciprocal? As well as you will want to have some framework so that you can be prepared during events. And then always remember, you'll hear this several times during our presentation, to always follow up and nurture relationships. Now, many people have heard touch a person 3 times a year or 5 times a year. I like to say be intentional. Now, you may ideally not be able to touch everyone 3 or 5 times a year, but have some framework with that. It could be when you first meet them at an event, and then you want to have a follow-up. And then you say, okay, I haven't talked to them in 3 months or so. And then you want to have another follow-up. And then there's a tracking process. And we'll get into that as well. And then more importantly, become certified. Why do we become certified? On the next slide, it will ask us that question as well. And the question is, are you certified? We have a lot of people say, what is a certification? We are the Minority Business Assistance Center, and you may not be familiar, so we don't want to assume. We provide certifications for minority business enterprise. women-owned business enterprise, veteran-friendly business enterprise, along with EDGE, encouraging diversity, growth, and equity. And the reason why you want to be certified is so that you can be provided with procurement opportunities, credibility. So with that certification, you're showing that you're credible and that you're verifying that you fall into those demographics. When people are looking for funding opportunities and or contracts, there are some stipulations that they may be able to have to qualify for, and that credibility gives them the meat and potatoes to be able to partner with you. And then access to capital. I am a retired banker. I was in banking for 17 years, and one of the most challenging things for small business is access to capital. And one of the wonderful ways that we can overcome that hurdle is to be able to be certified, because you will be able to qualify for loan programs and or have opportunities for bids and contracts so that you can work on your working capital and not use your personal funds in the process. Again, it provides great visibility for you and networking opportunities because you are connected with those. Now, when you have your certification, a lot of people say, well, what do we do with our certification? How can that help us? And then even if I'm not certified, what are some tips that we can use in networking? And what does this have to do with pitching your business? The reason why we want to have tips, and again, remember that framework, is because we don't want to necessarily just run into the room and disperse a lot of information. We really want to take a step back and again, remember the goal of why we want to present what we are presenting. And then we want to make sure that we are present. And how we are present, we are going to be curious when we are talking to those who we are in the room with. Now, what do I mean about being curious? I mean that we're going to ask questions versus talking more. And we're going to ask them, so what is your business like? And what opportunities do you have? And what needs do you need? What if you can ask a deeper question? What are some of the challenges that you have with your business? Notice I haven't said anything about myself. I'm really gaining interest in that person so that they can know that I'm interested in them. Be prepared. Whether that be, we have a trendy new thing of business cards now on your phone. You can have the Blink app. One of my coworkers presented that to me. And or you can have your business cards. You can have your website. You can have your LinkedIn profile, and you have that URL code so that people can go to your LinkedIn page. Whatever it is that you need, you wouldn't want to be fumbling around. You always want to have that together, have it in your pocket, maybe have a business card holder if you have business cards, so that it can be ready and accessible. The most important thing, it probably should be number one, is be positive. Why would someone want to do business with you and or just to be in your network if you aren't positive? I am a newer transplant to Columbus, and we may have a larger reach out of Columbus, but there's a lot of ecosystems within Columbus, and so we really wouldn't want to talk down or other people in the ecosystem. We want to be positive no matter what room we are in and having a positive outlook. Because one thing I have learned, we are one step removed from being connected to someone. So we would want to be representative of positive energy. That is a big word now, so that we can really be attractive when we are looking to have business done with us. The next one, to go along with being positive, is be proactive. Sometimes rooms are not going to be opened up for you, so you do want to knock down a wall that may be in front of you, but being tactful by doing that, whether that be following up on LinkedIn, using your social media, sending an inbox. I would like to schedule an appointment with you, or I would like to talk to you about whatever we talked about at the event in more detail. Really being proactive and not waiting for someone to come in for you. And then follow up. Again, we've heard this once, but after you have talked to someone, maybe you have left a commitment that you are going to do. It's always important to remember to do what you said you were going to do. If you said that you were going to send them an email, you have a notepad on your phone when you go to events, and remember what you said you were going to do. If you don't have a notepad on your phone, you can have a journal. And when you're taking notes, I've learned a wonderful tip: highlight. that I said I was going to follow up with this person and remember to actually do that. What that is helping you do after you have been certified and you're credible on that end, you're also making sure that you're credible as a person because you're following up and keeping your word. But I know if I had 10 things in my head, I have to write it down because I may not be able to remember. So this will help you to be concise and follow up. And then last but not leastly, be accessible. Say however you're going to be reached, you can be reached, whether that be phone, email, internet. It's always a good suggestion to tell people. I like to tell people to text me rather than emailing me because I would be more advantageous to respond to a text message than an email because some people may get 60 emails in an hour. And so then they may want to do that. However, it is more convenient for the person who is receiving the information, as well as making sure that you are conveying how it is important and more effective to get in contact with you. You really want to make sure that that is done. Now, as we have some tips for the networking, being curious, being prepared, being positive, being proactive, following up, and successful, we really want to focus in on next onto how to, what do we do and ways to build your network. A lot of us, we don't even know where to start. So we first wanted to acknowledge, get on LinkedIn. We stress that a lot. If you are not on LinkedIn, we would suggest that after you get off of this presentation, right on LinkedIn and create a page for yourself. Because what that is linking you with other like-minded individuals who people you are already connected with, whether it be on Facebook or Instagram. You're able to link those people together and see what interests you have in common, along as what companies they may work for, businesses they may have started and are working for, and then seeing who those people are connected with. And that is a way for you to expand your ecosystem. When you do go to these events, remember we talked about having your business cards organized and or easy display. You want to have a process to organize the business cards that you have received from your events as well. And this is helping you to build your network. I used to have a card file where I would put everybody's business cards in there by category because, again, I was a banker. So I would have business owners, bankers, even other bankers at other institutions. Because my bank was not able to do something, then I would keep their card to say that this bank is able to do something. Notice it was the same industry, but I made sure that I kept people in my network that I was able to work with, so in case that I wasn't able to do that. And then we also have a CRM system, customer relationship management. This is a system that helps you really keep track of everything that is all of your contacts in order. Our CRM system here at MBAC will be Salesforce. Microsoft has a tool as well. And then there may be several others. And if you have a system that is not acknowledged like Salesforce and or Microsoft, feel free to drop that in the chat. So because your great idea may help someone else along the way. Next, ask for referrals or resources. And this is wonderful, a lot of untapped potential with family and friends. Family and friends, they could either be your greatest asset or your worst liability, but starting with your inner circle first is really building your comfort level. And when we talk about crafting your pitch, this would be a great way to start, is practice your elevator pitch with your friends and your family, those on social media, and really ask for referrals. When you convey the value that you're adding, and we'll talk about that on the next couple of slides, you'll be able to ask for referrals. And if it's not referrals, you'll be able to ask for resources. Hey, I'm looking for funding. And you'll be able to say, okay, then you can go be connected with this person, and really expanding your scope and not limiting yourself. And then lastly, as a reminder, not to be redundant, you will want to follow up and keep your word. When you're building your network, people will remember the small things. We were just in a meeting yesterday and we were reminded, sending business, sending flowers, going back to non-traditional ways now, but it was traditional, handwriting thank you cards. It can go a long way. Thank you for the 30-minute conversation that we had. Thank you for hosting that webinar and giving wonderful feedback. Thank you for being our sponsor at our women's event. What we're doing, we're following up. We're not asking them for anything, but we're really saying thank you for your presence. And then what that is also doing is leaving a lasting impression. You know, they're not always asking me for something. And so then when you do really need to ask for something, they'll remember those times that you're not asking for something, not in a manipulative kind of way, but really in an intentional kind of way, building a relationship and nurturing. Going back to those 30, if you want to do 3 times a year or 5 times a year, this could be one of those things as well to really help you build your network. When you do send messages on LinkedIn, make sure that you are following up and creating value for that client, not just sending newsletters to be sending newsletters and or sending information to send information, but just really making sure again that you are intentional and staying connected. And then when a need does come up, really having that comfortability to reach out with whoever you have helped, whoever you have added into your network rather. Now, I've given you a lot of information as far as ways to build your network and some tips on helping you with your network. Now, I did want to check in right here to see if there are any questions before we go into actually crafting your pitch. Rosita, are there any questions so far?
Not at this time. Do we have
Perfect. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. All right. So then the reason why we are here today is crafting your elevator speech. And we would like to make an impression. This is not a thesis. This is a 30 seconds or less elevator speech where you would want to smile, be enthusiastic, be prepared, and then you would want to have in mind your value that you would like to add with your elevator speech. In your elevator speech, it is only 2 things that we are asking for when you're writing it. You'll hear a lot of different ways, a lot of different tactics. YouTube University has wonderful information, but on the next slide, you'll see that the only 2 things that we are asking for is your name and how to bring value to people. That is the only 2 things that we are asking for in this situation. Again, there are several ones, but this is clear, short, and concise. An example of that would be, hi, my name is Andrea Wilkes, and I help transform entrepreneurs into high-growth CEOs. And what that does is it's giving you something, a cliffhanger. Oh, well, how do you help people transform? How do you help entrepreneurs transform themselves into high growth CEOs? And what that did was I didn't give everything at once. I didn't overwhelm them. And I gave an open-ended statement so that they are able to ask me a question. And what that did was I invited them into my space, and they are actually the ones who open up the door for me to provide information to them. So then I can go into what I do at MBAC. I help clients with certifications, access to capital, providing networking opportunities and resources. But that wasn't all in my elevator speech. The only thing was in my elevator speech is, my name is Andrea Wilkes, and I help transform entrepreneurs into high growth CEOs. So then we see the value there will be high growth CEOs. Now, think about the value that you offer. And then this is where we're going to ask you to pull out a piece of paper. I see we have about 20 people here. Thank you again for being present. Someone mentioned that this is great, especially for people who struggle with where to start. Thank you for saying that. Again, we're just building this framework, and this is why we're going to have you pull out a piece of paper. So think about the value that you offer, and we'll have one person, but we'll give about 3 minutes. So this will be your products or your services that you offer the client, and how can you surmise that into one sentence after you have said your business name along with your name. And we will pause. I will turn off my camera to give you literally 2 minutes. I said 3 minutes, but 2 minutes so that we can have one volunteer at the end. While you're thinking about it, are there any questions when you're trying to write your elevator pitch? As a reminder, think about the value you offer. This is a pitch you're going to share when you are in a room with people you are not sure who to talk to, or you may know who to talk to. You may need multiple pitches as well. Are there any volunteers who would like to unmute and save their pitch, and or you can feel free to type it in the chat? There was a good question. Are there certain words we should avoid in using our pitch? I would suggest avoid talking about your competition. That's the number one thing. When you're talking about the competition, I'm better than another nonprofit, I'm less attractive. So another thing that you can say instead is, we are the top minority business assistance center in Ohio. We cover 18 counties and where we service those individuals, where other MBAC universities has a less geographic, something along those lines. So I'm not talking about anybody else where they may have a smaller area where they cover, but really showing the value that we have the largest. Does that make sense or answer the question that you're asking? Another thing that you could avoid is acronyms. So notice I'm saying Minority Business Assistance Center, but you may not know what MBAC is. So I wouldn't say I am the director of MBAC. I would say that I am the director of Minority Business Assistance Center. You're welcome. No problem. Thank you for that question. Any other questions?
No others at this time.
Perfect. Well, who would like to share their pitch? No pressure at all, but we would like to hear it so that we could glean off of yours.
We're showing Lynetta Peck raise their hand.
Perfect. Thank you. Feel free to unmute yourself and you can say your elevator speech. Oh, okay. My wonderful friends, are we able to unmute her? If not, feel free to go ahead and put it in the chat and we will read it out loud. I'm not sure if we're able to unmute you or not. While we're having Ms. Lynette.
Right. We'll get it done.
Thank you very much. And the reason why we wanted to create spaces, we didn't want to just talk. We really wanted to make sure that you walk away with an elevator pitch, and it's helpful when we hear an example, walk through it so that you can augment yours if needed. It's better to practice here with family before we go with someone else. All right, we have one. Thank you. Hi, my name is Jay Ford. I'm going to mess that up, Jay. Tesla, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, is an agile consulting company that transforms unfinished work for leaders, organizations, nonprofits struggling to access capital through grants, close deals, align with right partners. So thank you, Jay. Yes, you're telling me, I know I maybe have butchered that name. I'm sorry about that. It's an agile consulting company that transforms unfinished work. And so I would ask, what is unfinished work? Yes, thank you. And then you would be able to tell me more, but you have really pulled me in with the unfinished work. Thank you. And then we'll have Miss Lanita go.
Vanetta Shea Brands offers inspiration that guides personal self-value by cleansing the outer makeup to fit what's inside.
Perfect. It was simple, concise, and to the point. Thank you for being amicable and speaking up. Now, did anybody have a follow-up question for Ms. Peck that you could type in the group and or hope maybe unmute?
Virginia Jones has her hand and she's ready to give her pitch as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Virginia. Go right ahead.
Yes, thank you. Hello, my name is Virginia Jones, and I help people in the community achieve their financial dreams.
I love that, Virginia. How do you help people achieve their financial dreams?
Thank you. Well, by helping them to accumulate a budget and to build their credit so that they're able to apply for the necessary funding to get whatever goal they are trying to achieve.
I love it. Thank you very much. And what you did, Virginia, you opened the door for me and gave me an opportunity to ask you more questions. And how did that feel versus saying it all at once?
It felt good. It gave me a moment to pause and to think about the specifics of what I need to do or what I need to say.
Virginia, you are helping me out. Thank you all for putting your questions and your statements in the chat. But that pause is very important. If I'm all mumbled and jumbled all over the place, I could be a hot mess. But I noticed that when I step back and I take a moment to pause, just like Virginia said, I'm able to collect my thoughts and get myself together. So as you see, we are being the orchestrator of the conversation, being intentional, and then opening the door for questions. Thank you again, Virginia.
Thank you.
We have Miss Jamila Royster, and I apologize if I'm saying anybody's name wrong, don't come get me, but we have the name of my business is Jamila Royster, Health and Fitness. Our mission is to make an impact on obesity and lifestyle diseases through health and wellness, specifically through strength training and functional eating. Now listen, this is always intriguing. One thing about life is we need health if we're going to continue to live. Now, this is going to also ask some questions. Now, how do you do that? I'm not sure if she's able to unmute her phone, but for the sake of, oh, thank you. Now, I would ask you, how are you able to do that, Ms. Royster?
I put specifically through strength training and functional eating because I have a undergrad in psychology. I have multiple certifications in strength training and nutrition. So I basically set an assessment, a consultation with clients, get to know them personally, their lifestyle habits, their work schedule, their children, and then from there try to create a program that works for their lifestyle. I find that when I not force but encourage people to also join the community, that people are more consistent. They're able to create more sustainable habits, which in the long run leads to just better health outcomes.
Thank you. And I love how you did not give me all of that when you first gave your elevator pitch. How did you feel about the initial one and then the follow-up question?
It feels good. I think that with my business, I work with individuals and my goal is to work with like corporations. So I think that I can kind of tailor that to whoever I'm speaking to, I guess.
Absolutely. And you brought up a good point because you know your audience, you know who you're going to talk to. Are you going into an intimate setting? Are you going into corporate America? Are you going into nonprofit America? So you may need to curate it to your audience. But the most important thing that you said is knowing who you're talking to, and you may need to augment it if possible. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have time for one more because I don't want to keep you too long. But if you don't have any more, feel free. I know that hearing examples helps you. You may not feel as comfortable saying it out loud, but we really wanted to make sure that we created space so that you would walk away with it. All right, I don't see any more. Team, do we have any more so far?
No, no more questions or responses at this time.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So after we have created our pitch and we think about the value that we offer, then you have created the template and or the guideline, just like Ms. Royster said, of giving you a starting line or a basis. I think Ms. Virginia acknowledged it as well. And then someone even in the beginning. Sometimes we don't know where to start. We used to always start from somewhere, but this creating a pitch for yourself is something that I would encourage you to write down and practice, augment as you continue to grow so that you are able to have a clear and concise message when you're coming in contact with people. Now here in MBAC, we always like to ask, how can we help you? We offer one-on-one counseling. We have training classes. We identify access to capital and bonding programs. We have contract and procurement assistance, as long as certification assistance. Again, why is it important to be certified? It's so that you are connected with like-minded individuals, have access to capital, as well as being able to have that credibility so that others are able to be partnered with you. We also offer notary service. A lot of us do not know that, but you would have to make an appointment and so forth with that. So again, this was really, on the next slide, we also have our YouTube University. This is always important. This lesson will be on our YouTube University along with many other learnings. And YouTube is free. Now I have YouTube Premium because I don't like commercials, but you don't have to worry about that to get to our CUL MBAC University channel. Follow right down along the lines, take a picture, screenshot, because what this is free resources to help you with your business. This was a short training on elevator pitches, but we have multiple trainings as well. Last week, Ms. Sharon taught on a capability statement. This is a one-pager. So this is a pitch that you have, but on your one-pager, you can also use that when you're looking at being prepared. So I would have you to go back to YouTube University and find that lesson on capability statements as well. When you're thinking about your elevator pitch, that can also be a good place to start. Having that capability statement, okay, let me take a snapshot out of everything on my capability statement, which is only one page, and then now how can I transfer that into one sentence to be able to convey my message. On the next slide, we do have our MBAC channel, so feel free to take a picture of that. If you are on a call, that means that you are hopefully registered with us to get our newsletter and all of our events that are coming up, just like this one today, and or in-person events. We have some wonderful partners from our Incubate Her 2.0. I'm gonna give you all a shout out, hey. So I'm glad to see you all, but feel free to visit us on our webpage if you have any more questions or concerns. So again, this was short, simple, and to the point, just like an elevator pitch, because simplicity is what sells. Whenever it is easier to narrow your products or services down and not try to overwhelm everyone, then it is easier to do business with. You are more approachable, you are accessible, and that we will be able to help you. I will thank you as well, Ms. Peck, for your attention and your willingness to volunteer. And thank you all for showing up today. I hope that you were able to get something and that you will be able to walk away with more confidence when you are pitching your business and being more successful in your efforts. Feel free to reach out to us at any time and we will be glad to assist you. Thank you all.